views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the hit show Love Living Radio, Ignite Your Whole Being with Emily Perkins on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Do you love your life? Are you truly free in being your authentic self? In a stress-filled world full of distractions, Love Living Radio is a space to explore how mindful presence can steer you toward an ignited life. What does a life you really love look like? Emily shares her innermost vulnerabilities and breaks down barriers through conversations about sex and relationships, the magic of plant medicine, and so much more in order to share the power of living your life with love and loving the life you live. Now, here's your host. Hi, everybody. Oh, happy Wednesday evening. I'm so excited to be with you guys tonight. I feel like it's been a long time. I don't know why. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but for whatever reason, these past 2 weeks just kind of felt like they went, slower. I think it's because so much has happened in my life in the past 2 weeks. Just a lot of really big decisions and big plans for the 2019 coming year. Some really, really exciting stuff that I can't wait to share with you guys in the future. But I'm excited to talk about what we're talking about today. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is Love Living Radio, and I am Emily Perkins. And the thing that I am like crazy passionate about, the reason why I'm doing this radio show is because I absolutely love connecting people to themselves in every possible way. It is literally what lights my fire. So what I do physically for that is I am a licensed esthetician, which is where I started in holistic beauty. I am also a Reiki master and a holistic life coach. And in all of those ways, essentially what I do is just love people. I love people so much and in a way that allows them to see how absolutely gorgeous they are and how spectacular they are. And it is an incredible honor, truly, to do all three. I love it. I really love it. So that's who I am, just in case you're tuning in for the first time. And if you are tuning in for the first time, thanks. It's so nice to have you. This show is just kind of like this really beautiful space for me to just get to connect, which is so perfect because that's what we're talking about today, connection. And in alignment with that, say hello to Mulligan, my little soul buddy. He really wanted to be a part of the show today. All about connection. So he's literally physically connected to me right now, which I love. So welcome. Thanks for tuning in. It really means a lot to be able to share this space with you and to be able to hopefully offer something, anything, even if it's just knowing that in this moment you are connected to someone else, me and you. And, connection it's such a powerful thing. It's such a big thing. And looking back at all of my previous shows, which to be totally honest, I was actually really shocked and excited about the fact that we've been on air for 6 months. 6 months and 12 shows of so much fun. If anything, if I look back at those 6 months, I just see so much fun. So much fun and honestly, some really good stuff. There's actually some pretty awesome info and connection in these 12 episodes that are up and running on my website if you're looking for them at lovelivingholistics.com or also through transformationtalkradio.com. But looking at the lineup, looking at all of the different episodes and all of the things that we've covered, it made so much sense that this episode would be about connection, because every episode, if you're wondering how the process works or how my process works in terms of choosing what I want to talk about, most of the time it's really intuitive. Like it just aligns that I'm like, oh, you know what? I kind of want to have my friend Ryan on. And he's like, yeah, let's do this date. And it just aligns. Or I'm like, oh, it'd be really fun to do one on CBD. So I reach out to my friend Asa and she's like, yeah, let's do it. Everything has just been very fluid and very in alignment and very intuitive. And each big theme, like every time I do a show by myself, these themes just kind of come up. They just start showing up everywhere in my life. And that first big theme that we talked about a few weeks ago was trust. And trust in myself, trust in others, and looking at the ways in which we don't trust, and the beliefs that we have that get in the way of trust. And that really kind of effortlessly led me into seeing the newest theme, which was connection. And it feels so powerful and so potent for where we are right now. Like there's just so much going on in the world. There's so much fear and so much distrust, so much disconnection. Like there's so much uneasiness with the state of the world, with reason. There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening, both personally for people and globally, and just the structure of our country, the structure of how we live life, our basic rights. It's really, I think, an important conversation to be having right now. Connection in a time where a lot of us are probably feeling really disconnected, disconnected from ourselves, and probably a little bit swimming in fear for some people, and disconnected from other people because they may have different views, or it just feels hopeless. I've so many times over the past couple of weeks from friends, from family, from clients, I've basically heard the words, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point in voting? What's the point in cleaning the house when it's just going to get dirty again? What's the point in loving harder and bigger when we may get hurt? Like so many times I've heard over the past couple of weeks, what's the point? And connection is what I came up with. It may not be your answer, but it has resoundingly been my answer, just in what's shown up in my life, in the themes and the messages and the lessons and the repetition. That's how source, God, universe, our higher selves, whatever it is you believe in, kind of sends us those messages, those repetitive words, those repetitive signs, messages from friends, or from a TV show that you're watching, or from a meditation. However it shows up, the repetition is like the universe / your higher self being like, bing, 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 hey, look at me. And we get to choose whether or not we pay attention to that. So it's so fascinating. It really is so fascinating to look at all of the ways that we create disconnect. Like as humans, as people in this world, connection oftentimes feels really vulnerable. It feels scary to be deeply connected to people, because I think in that it feels like there's a lot at stake. Our hearts are at stake. Our jobs sometimes we feel like are at stake. And a lot of the time we make it mean this. We make it mean that our hearts and our well-being and our life ultimately, like that's the ultimate fear, right? That our life is in jeopardy. That's what our survivor self is constantly protecting us from death, essentially. Which our sweet, poor little survivor self things that we're in danger all the time. When in fact, our higher self and our healthy self knows better. So in looking at connection and looking at all the ways that I personally, create disconnect in my life, or ways in which I shy away from connection. And it's been really, really profound and powerful. I've been looking at it for years, but for whatever reason, the past 2 months, it's just been really prevalent. And it really kind of slapped me in the face about a month ago when I was at another core leadership training, which I've talked about in the past. Core is just, oh God, this just miraculous, transformative program that offers workshops. Coreexperience.com. If you're interested, it is pure magic. Anyway, I'm doing a leadership program with them. And at our last module, I had this experience with another teammate who is a dear friend who I absolutely love and adore, that just rocked me. It rocked me, but also opened my eyes in the most beautiful and profound way. So we were in a process, and he and I and another participant, and I got super, super triggered, like really triggered by something. So much so that I couldn't quite tune into my healthy self. And I was starting to go into what's called a trauma vortex, which is where you kind of almost start to leave the presencing of your body. You start to lose your presence. Like I can't make eye contact. And I'm constantly rubbing my legs or grounding myself to try and stay in my body instead of swirling out into the vortex. And it's happened to me before. So I knew it and I kind of was able to regulate it. But in the process, what I realized that when I get triggered like that, or just triggered in general, where I go is I disconnect. And I disconnect in such a way that I am almost not even there. I'm not even there with that person in that moment. I cannot look at them. They can't reach me. They cannot reach me. I'm literally in a dungeon, in a cave in my chest, in my heart. And this happened in this process. And what happened after that was so eye-opening to me. One of my friends, my teammates, my dear, dear friend who I absolutely adore, a man, he watched this happen. He sat there and he was holding my feet and he watched it happen as I disconnected. And I disconnected from myself. I disconnected from anybody else in the room, and I couldn't be reached. It was literally like a cutoff. And his reaction to this was incredibly emotional. It was a huge emotional release and triggered something really deeply for him also. And he was crying and was amazingly generous to allow us to kind of go through a process with him. But I sat there realizing that when I disconnect like that, when I can't be reached, and when I just disconnect myself from the people that I love, it profoundly impacts them. It really does. Watching his tears was one that honestly truly brought me back to my marriage. It did, because I saw all the times that I did that in fights. When I got triggered, I would just disappear. I was no longer there. He may have walked out of the room, which triggered the hell out of me, but I disconnected emotionally. I just wasn't there. And I saw firsthand in this workshop with this one dear friend just how detrimental that is to the other person and ultimately to our connection. And that the thing that I really want is to be deeply and intimately connected, to be loved and supported in that moment when I'm getting triggered. But my survivor self, that defense, was that's what I do. I go whoop, and I'm out. Nobody's home. So seeing how profound it was, it was a drastic example of something that happens on a smaller scale all the time for me. And I know it's not just me, which is why I'm saying it. When you get triggered, when you feel sad, when you feel depressed or lonely or overworked or hurt by somebody, what do you do? How do you disconnect? What happens for you? If your feelings get hurt by someone, where do you go? Do you retreat and just kind of back off and go into your own head and disconnect from the relationship and disengage? Or do you stay present? Do you stay present with them? Do you stay present with where you're at and what's happening, and stay present to the love, right? Stay present to the love and the possibility. And obviously, easier said than done sometimes. But it's such an interesting place to look, because it is such a common place that we get disempowered. And it comes from a belief. Like for me, it comes from a belief that, and we all have, a relationship to connection. We have a relationship to everything. So my relationship to connection from my survivor self, from the part of me that's trying to defend all the time, is that connection is a burden. That being connected to a lot of people all the time, as I am, as a healer and a coach and having my hands on people and just my life, it's just a part of who I am. But for my survivor self, when I'm triggered, when I'm in my stuff, which usually happens when I'm really tired or I don't take care of myself. Note to self, take care of yourself so that you don't get triggered into your survivor self. But when I go there, connection is a burden. I just I don't have enough love. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough time for everybody. And I get into this place where it's like connection is just like, it's heavy. And I also get into this victim-y place where I'm like, well, okay, who's taking care of me? Who's loving me? Like I have all this energy going out all the time and they're taking care of everybody. Who's taking care of me? That's what my survivor self says. And in that, I disconnect. I go into my own space and I get kind of victim-y, and I do that whole separate and alone thing, which is so common. We all do it. It's at some point when we're young, we go from feeling connected to ourselves, to our parents, to source. We walk into the world completely connected and dependent, to be honest. As babies, we were totally dependent and therefore connected. And at some point, we feel separate. We feel separate from source. We feel separate from those around us and the rest of the world. We're all of a sudden these autonomous beings, right? And in that, we create all these beliefs and all these defenses around connection, whether it's connection's a burden. So, I can't be deeply connected all the time because I just, it's too hard. It's too heavy. Or another big one that came up for me was with my coach last week. I have a new coach who I love. She's amazing, like absolutely freaking amazing. Stacy, you're just awesome. I've been waiting to work with her for 2 years, and it's just been like, coaches always find me really intuitively, or I find them intuitively. And I've had some incredible coaches in my life. But Stacy and I were talking the other day, and this one core belief that comes up for me every time I'm ready to up level, which means every time that my energy is ready to kind of up itself into a new vibration, which shows up as a new awareness within myself, or a new relationship that I create with myself, or like every time you up level into a new energy, it shows up everywhere in your life, right? So I'm up leveling into a new relationship with myself. I'm up leveling into a different level of my practice and my business. That's where it shows up so powerfully when I up level. So I knew I was ready to up level. And the last time that this belief came up was right before I was ready to up level into taking on more clients, into taking on a heavier schedule. And the belief that stops me in up leveling almost every time is I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough energy to be connected to that many people. Ooh. So that's what stops me from growing, right? That's what stops me from having a huge, expansive network, from what my 2019 goal is, going global. If I want to go global, that means I'm going to be connected to like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Do I have the energy for that? Yeah. So realizing this belief and realizing how it stops me from connection, that I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough energy to be connected to so many people. I don't have enough energy to give to everybody. I don't have enough energy to have my hands on so many people. That was another belief, that I'm only powerful when I'm in person with people. Not true. Not true. Energy crosses time and space, which I know as a Reiki master. But it was just so profound to have this awareness around my connection, or my understanding of my own energy and how I relate to connection. It makes sense, to be honest, as an empath and someone that takes on the energy around me, that connection, being connected to another person and their energy, might feel like a burden. It makes sense why that belief is there, but it disempowers everything. It disempowers my ability to grow my business in a massively expansive way, which I'm so pumped and ready for. And it's not even my business. It's about connecting to people. Like this radio show is one of those examples. It was an up level in my energy about me getting ready to start connecting with more people, because I do have the energy, because connection is a resource, not a depletion. That's the belief ultimately, right? That connection is depleting rather than resourcing. Whether that's a friendship or family or work or clients or myself, like all of these ways that we connect. It's always about connection. I looked at all of the different titles of my shows, food, CBD, trust, sisterhood, loving your body, love addiction, plant medicine, sexploration. All of those topics are also about connection. How do you connect to your body? How do you connect to your sexuality? How do you connect to food? How do you connect to medicine and things that can nourish you? It's all about connection. Plants are connection. How are we connected to the earth? Like, wow. It's all about connection. And if it's all about connection, how can you be powerful in that? Right? How can you be powerful in connection? How can it resource every single part of your life? And in order to look at that, you have to look at all the ways that you disempower connection, all the ways that you disconnect, all the ways that you block connection, right? Because we do it. We all do it. For me, connection is a burden, or I don't have enough energy to be connected to so many people, or to call that person back, or to call my cousin who I love so much, who lives in Aspen, who I never get to see. But my silly little blocks around connection just get in the way. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough. I'm too tired at the end of the day, blah, blah, blah. It's all excuses and just blocks for connection. And you know what? That's not to say that sometimes those things will be real and that I'm wrong for thinking that, or you're wrong. That's not what we're talking about. We're just taking a really good look through the lens of accountability and honesty at all the ways that block you from the thing that actually can bring magic into your life, that can resource you and support you and let you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. That's why I do this show. That's why I talk about the crazy, vulnerable things that I talk about, to let you know that you're not alone. That we're all struggling with essentially the same core things, just different flavors. And there's something about this topic too, about connection, that feels really important to talk about right now. And we'll get more into this after the break. And we also have the space to take a caller after the break. So I wanted to be able to just kind of like chat about connection, get the foundation, and then open it up to connection. So we have the space after the break to have a caller. And if you're wondering how to do that, you can dial in at 1-800-930-2819 on any phone, and get supported. Come and talk to me about this. Connect. Don't be scared. Don't let that fear stop you from getting supported in this moment. Don't let it stop you from connecting with another human and maybe walking away with something brilliant. That's what we're here for. We are here on this planet to connect. We're not meant to live life alone. We're not meant to struggle alone. We're not meant to sit in a corner or sink into that hole in your chest. We're meant to connect. That's why we're here. And it is a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful gift in our humanity and in our life as humans to be able to connect. And there's so much strength and power, right? Strength in numbers. There's a reason why they say that. So if you want to call in, the number again is 1-800-930-2819. I would love to talk to you. I would really love to talk to you. So give us a call. We're going to take a little break. And when we come back, hopefully we'll chat about connection. Okay. Love you all. See you soon.
The Knowledge Book, currently studied in 39 countries and 15 languages around the world, accelerates our evolution, takes us out of depression, offers universal truth, protects us, and makes us stronger, both spiritually and physically. So if you are interested in the Knowledge Book, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net and tune in to the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Potasic on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthисfunny.com.
Demystifying the Journey on From Here to There Radio with your host, Diane Garris. Tune in every third Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com as Diane helps you get from where you are now to the life you envision. Get ready to get unstuck and move forward. Every show features a new special segment, New Age Notes, demystifying hot metaphysical topics of the day. For more information or to work with Diane, visit DianeGarris.com.
Living Lighter Radio with Jason and Patricia. We have an ecosystem approach to your life. Tune in weekly every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we, Jason and Patricia, discuss what's truly holding you back. We offer you the tools you need to reach your goals and at the same time be living lighter. For more information about Living Lighter, visit www.livinglighter.org.
Golden Otter Divinations Radio, where the metaphysical meets the mainstream with Autumn Seibel. Tune in the first Friday every month at 9 a.m. Pacific as Autumn, educator, health coach, and medium, explores metaphysical and mainstream strategies on how to elevate your level of conscious living. Draw in the abundance that is yours by divine right. For more information about working with Autumn, visit goldenotter.us. That's golden like the precious metal and otter like the precious animal.us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I am Emily Perkins, and you are listening to Love Living Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. And just so that you get a little second peek at this cuteness, Mulligan and I are streaming live from Newport, Rhode Island tonight, from our living room. And we're talking about connection. And so far we've chatted, probably wasn't proper English. We've talked about connection in all sorts of ways. The ways in which we disempower it, the ways in which we block it, the ways in which we run from it. I shared a little bit about how it happens for me. You know, connection is a burden from my survivor self, and I don't have enough energy, and it's vulnerable, you know? It feels vulnerable to be deeply connected to people. And honestly, it takes a whole lot of courage. It takes a really big, beautiful, open heart to connect deeply with people. And I think some of the ways in which we stop that connection from happening come from a belief, or lots of beliefs. You know, we all have different ones, but I think some of them are things like, someone's going to hurt me. You know, like if we look at, just looking at all of my past shows, every single one of them is ultimately about connection. You know, like connection to the body, connection to your sexuality, plant medicine, everything. That's what we talked about a little bit before the break. But looking at that, I think some of the ways in which we protect ourselves from connection, which if you think about that, like we're protecting ourselves from connection. What? Why? And that's where the beliefs come in. That's where the fears come in. But if you think about it like that, we're protecting ourselves from connection, this resourcing, powerful, magical thing that we have the gift of being able to do as humans, to connect on an emotional, mental, physical level. You know, like connection and intimacy is such a beautiful gift as a human, to experience intimacy the way that we do, to connect with another human being. It is absolutely miraculous to connect and to be able to experience each other in ways that it's just so layered and multidimensional. You know, like it is just such a beautiful gift, connection. And so if you're out there listening, maybe think about all the ways that you block connection. What happens for you? You know, like maybe what happens for you when you're in a romantic relationship and you feel disconnected from your partner? Where do you go? Or when you're in friendships, like I just had this happen to me with one of my best friends who's not around here. She's in Florida and I don't get to talk to her that much. And, you know, we've just kind of been ships in the night and missing each other. And what happens for you in relationship when you feel disconnected? And how do you deal with that? You know, like how do you deal with connection? So it sounded like Aggie was talking a little bit about connection with a friend and source. So like how channeling divine source energy, channeling and connecting to your guides or your higher power, and using that to kind of support you in your relationships, whether it's with a friend or a lover or a family member. And it's such a great question, because I think so much of the time we believe that we are disconnected. You know, that separate and alone feeling, that we are somehow disconnected from source, disconnected from our friends, disconnected from family. And I think the thing that is so powerful that another master coach actually said to me when I first started practicing was that we are never disconnected. We are actually always connected. And that resonated so much with me, because it was such an eye-opening thing. Like, how often do we say, God, I just feel really disconnected. I feel disconnected from my body. I feel disconnected from my partner. I feel disconnected from all of my friends, especially in the winter when we all hibernate. And I guess, too, in thinking about it energetically, you know, whether it's source or our relationships in life, we are never actually disconnected. We are never alone. We're never not connected to each other, to each other's energy, to the love that we have for one another, to the love that we have for ourselves and source. You know, and I think remembering that we actually always have the ability to connect simply through choosing, through our consciousness, by just realizing that we're never not connected. We are connected. So I think that, you know, that's kind of an invaluable thing to remember when we're struggling with the fears that we have around connection, that we're never not connected, that we're never not loved and supported by grace, source, God, universe, the divine. We are never not completely held. And that in that connection, that especially that particular one, God, it's just so juicy and powerful and sinks you right down into the soul of who you are. At least that's what it does for me. You know, that connection to something greater than myself, which for me is just love. That's, you know, it's just an energy. It is an energy that I relate to as love. And, you know, this is Love Living Radio. So it kind of perfectly supports what it is we're doing here on Love Living Radio. And I can't think of anything more in alignment with love than connection. Especially when we use it powerfully, when we're in alignment with it, you know, it's just it's so beautiful, you know. And I think a lot of the time when we do feel alone and separate and disconnected, it's some belief that, you know, some belief that we're alone in this world, that we have to do it alone, that we have to figure it out, that the only person we can rely on is ourselves, you know, that that people aren't genuinely there to love and support us, that they don't want to do that. And I think that's where some of the disconnect happens. These beliefs that we're alone, that we aren't surrounded by love and connected all the time, that the people that are in our lives aren't also loving and searching for that connection, desiring that connection, you know. And I think when we sink into that, you know, when we sink into the essence of connection, which is really love, which is kind of the essence of everything, in my humble opinion, then we realize that connection is this incredible tool It's an incredible tool for living your life powerfully, for living, and not even powerfully, but just in a way that you actually really want to. Like it's there for you to support you, whether it's connection to your own brilliant beating heart, or connection to your intuition, connection to deep and meaningful and intimate connection with the people in your life, lovers, friends, family. What would life look like if you actually fully embraced the power of connection? If you allowed the defenses and the beliefs, the fear around what it means to be really, truly, deeply connected to other human beings, to just kind of melt away. What happens? What happens to your life? What does it look like? Through real, true, vulnerable, intimate connection. Personally, I can tell you that it is probably one of the most resourcing things I know. And you know what? I love time to myself. I do. I love spending time with me and doing yummy resourcing things for myself, like taking a bath or going for a walk or having a yummy meal or watching Netflix sometimes. Like I love spending time with myself. But I've found in challenging my own limited beliefs around connection, that it's a burden, that I don't have enough energy, that it has to be this outward thing all the time, that I have to put effort into it, that it has to be, that it's hard, you have to put effort into connection. All these funny little things that we make connection mean that just get in the way of it actually being something resourcing for us, right? Because that's what it's really there for. So in realizing that it's meant to be a resource for me, and meant to be a tool for me, I realized that connection to other people can be this incredible filling of my own cup. And I've seen that happen so many times, especially, it was hardest for me around my relationship with men, to allow that connection to be really vulnerable and intimate, even if it's not sexually intimate, just like heart-wise intimate, vulnerably intimate with some of just the most wonderful men in the world. And I'm just so present to how opening the doors of connection and letting go of some of the limiting beliefs that I have and fear that I have, which took some digging, like some of this is not always present. You have to actually look at it. And once I did, I was like, wow, okay, this is keeping me from just beautiful friendship. It's keeping me from being just divinely loved by a man, just really beautifully loved. And I've been lucky enough to experience that a lot over the past couple of months with different relationships, whether intimate or friendship. And I completely attribute that to letting some of the guard down around what I have, all the stuff I have around connection. So we have a couple of minutes, and it looks like Aggie's back on. So we're going to take her call, and we're going to chat with her just for a few minutes before we leave. But I wanted to make sure that we open up that connection again. So, Rob, do we have her on the line?
Hey, Aggie, are you still there?
Yep.
Awesome.
I'm
You're
here.
on with Emily Perkins.
Okay. So sorry about our last connection, but I'm on a different phone. It seems to be working better. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. So we just have a couple of minutes. We only have about 5 minutes, but what would you like to ask?
All right. Well, so I guess I started to ask. So my job involves connection with people. So when I'm teaching and I'm working with my clients in classes, I'm connected fully, wholeheartedly, and probably the most present in my life that I can be. And then I leave the space, and then I feel as though I almost need a break from connection, but then, just sometimes just a little break, and sometimes just to decompress and not be pouring out my, all my resources sort of need to recharge. And then I want connection again, but sometimes when I'm looking for just certain connections, people who will jive with me, who are easy to be with me, and typically it's my family, or some of my childhood, quote, one of my most treasured childhood friends. But it's funny how I have had kind of this combative connection with other friends other than those people I mentioned. So I'm trying to come to peace with it. I'm trying to, source, as I said, the divine spirit and energy to sort of process it and figure it out, and either to basically decide, is it worth my energy to actually put in to connect, or is it just let it go and leave it alone? So there's my question. Sorry.
Yeah. To either put the effort in to connect or to leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is causing the disconnect?
Not exactly sure. I can't really put my finger on it, other than the need of that. Well, it always seems to come down to who's right and who's wrong, or it's almost like, it seems as though it's like a competition. So who has the most information on something, or who has the correct information? And so I don't know. Or it's just an invasion of my space. Someone's. I hosted a lot of people this summer for various celebrations, and it was all good. But it's tiring. It takes away from my time with me and my time with my husband. So maybe it's a resentful thing. Maybe it's a resentment. I don't know. I definitely think that there is resentment in there, for sure. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Resentment and connection.
So go ahead. Sorry.
So it sounds like you said that there's some resentment in connection. In needing to be connected. Yeah.
Well, resentment of the people that were taking away from my connection to my husband, and I don't know, maybe just draining me, and maybe that's probably a bit of it. That I used to be so, I used to have the energy to entertain more and connect more, and now it's almost like it's a nice. I enjoy solitude, but is it the right thing?
Well, it sounds like maybe a place to look is that connection is draining. And maybe that's the place to look, whether it's with your friends or certain friends, or when you're hosting. It sounds like part of the belief is that connection is draining, and then that's how it shows up, or that's how it feels. So what happens if connection is resourcing? What does it look like then?
It looks better, for sure, but I have to try to figure out, I guess, a way to do that. And I guess part of it is letting go of perfection, letting go of having everything be just perfect and just so. And I guess that's a big one. And so I guess there's several layers in here.
Yeah, there usually is, especially with connection. It's definitely, I think, has multiple stories that kind of weave through it that we don't realize might be playing out.
I think also it's been very evident to me, what's really come out of it is that I'm way better off one-on-one, that I like connecting much more instead of big crowds, which I used to love and think it was so much fun and such a party and a blast. So for me, it's much more about just having one-on-one or one-on-two or just small group settings. It's really big. That's maybe the thing right there. There's the answer. Just smaller groups connecting. And if I have the larger group, then just find the one person that I really want to, talk to, converse with, catch up with. It's always hard when you're the hostess because then you always have to run off and just prepare things or clean up from things or things like that. So that's a challenge. But but I think that maybe the answer is just as you said it. Find the fine tune the connections, to what suits me at this time in my life, which is smaller groups, one-on-one, so maybe.
Yeah. I hear that. Fine-tuning the connection. Yeah.
And journaling, I think, is really helping about it. Trying to,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling. Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
For connecting. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Have an awesome night.
Okay. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that connection, because I think it's actually something that we all struggle with. Like, how do we find ways to fine tune our connection, to feel powerful, to have it be something that is resourcing for us rather than depleting, and finding how that might look specifically just for you. And I'd also the coach in me also would have you challenge your own beliefs that limit your energy, that limit the ways in which you connect. Because the possibility, the potential is endless connection. Endless. And in that, it takes a little bit of one of the things that I see in it is that it takes a little bit of unconditional love in seeing that all humans are essentially good, and really, truly, kind of sinking into that as a way of allowing connection with everyone, to trust that you can connect with everyone. That's another big thing that I've been talking about with people is trust. So, I'm so grateful for this connection with you all tonight. I hope that you got something from it. I'm so excited to have our first caller. Thank you, Aggie. And I hope to connect with you all next time. Until then, I wish you so much love in your life. If you're looking to connect, go to www.lovelivingHolistics.com. Thank you so much and have a great night. Bye. Thank you for listening to Love Living Radio, Ignite Your Whole Being with Emily Perkins. Tune in every second and fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com as Emily shares the power of living your life with love and loving the life you live. For more information or to listen to past shows, visit lovelivingHolistics.com. That's lovelivingHolistics.com. See you next time.